All right, so today we're diving into the EV maker NIO. The company just made two huge announcements that honestly feel like they're pulling in opposite directions. On one hand, they're launching this massive global expansion, but on the other, they're fighting a surprise cost crisis. So let's break down how they're trying to pull this off.
And this is really the big question, isn't it? It's a classic business puzzle. How do you step on the gas for growth while slamming on the brakes for spending? It seems almost impossible. But for NIO, the answer seems to lie in a really interesting mix of new cars, new business strategies, and one very, very clever piece of engineering.
Okay, so first up, let's look at the offense. NIO is gearing up for a major global push. But here's the thing. They're not just sending their existing cars to new countries. Nope, they're leading the charge with something brand new.
And the star of this push is the Firefly, which is NIO's first ever coupe. Now, the really interesting part is that a right-hand drive version has already shown up at the Singapore Auto Show. And that's a huge signal, right? It tells you they're serious about markets like the UK, Australia, and other parts of Asia. And with the launch planned around the Chinese New Year, believe me, they are not wasting any time.
But a cool new car is really only half the story. The real genius here, I think, is how they're expanding. Instead of spending billions of their own money on fancy, company-owned showrooms, NIO is using a franchising model. This is just brilliant. It lets them enter new markets so much faster and cheaper because it lowers their upfront costs. It's all about what they call capital-light growth. Now sure, it has its own challenges. You got to make sure every franchise feels like the real NIO. But for pure speed, it's an incredible tool.
And this whole expansion, it's not random. It's a very deliberate three-step plan. First, the affordable and stylish Firefly goes in to kind of test the waters and establish a beachhead. Then, their mid-range family brand Envo comes in. And only then, after those two are settled, does the main premium NIO brand make its grand entrance. It's a really smart way to build up a following from the ground up.
Okay, so that all sounds pretty great, right? An ambitious growth plan. But at the exact same time all this is happening, NIO got hit with a serious problem on the supply chain side. An untotally unexpected and really expensive bidding war for one tiny but critical part.
Now, you don't have to take my word for it. NIO's own CEO said the fight for memory chips, RAM, has been very exhausting. You have to remember, modern cars are basically supercomputers on wheels, and they need a ton of RAM to function. And all of a sudden, NIO found itself fighting for that RAM against some rivals with incredibly deep pockets.
So who were they up against? AI data centers. I mean, this is a total David versus Goliath situation. You've got these massive AI companies spending hundreds of billions of dollars, and they can outbid pretty much anyone for the memory chips they need. And there's NIO, a car company, suddenly stuck in a bidding war against big tech. That is a battle you are probably not going to win on price. So, with the cost of RAM just skyrocketing, you'd think NIO's dream of being profitable just got a lot further away. But this is where the whole story takes a fascinating turn. It turns out NIO had an ace up its sleeve, a powerful countermove they already had in motion.
And this is the key. While they were fighting this unexpected cost battle over RAM, they were already rolling out a massive planned cost-saving move. And that solution is their very own in-house intelligent driving chip, the NX931. This thing is the brain of the car's self-driving features. It processes all the data, and by developing it themselves, they cut out a huge, expensive middleman.
And the savings? Well, they're just staggering. According to the CEO, making their own chip saves the company about 10,000 yuan. That's over $1,300 in material costs for every single car. When you're making thousands of cars a month, that number is just massive.
So let's put it all together here. On one side of the scale, you have this painful, unexpected price hike for RAM. But on the other side, you have these enormous, planned savings from their in-house chip. And here's the punchline. The savings from the chip are expected to be bigger than the extra cost of the RAM. So when the dust settles, it's actually a net financial win. It's a perfect example of smart, long-term planning beating a short-term crisis.
Now, this chip is a huge deal, obviously, but it isn't happening in a vacuum. It's just one piece of a much, much wider and more aggressive push across the entire company to cut costs and finally get to profitability. And I mean, they are looking at everything. They're making their service operations leaner, finding ways to fix cars more efficiently. They're making the tough call to shut down showrooms that aren't making money. And yeah, they're starting to charge for some services that used to be free, which might sting a bit for customers, but it's crucial for the company's health.
They're even launching these new Sky stores in smaller cities. These are cool all-in-one showrooms for all their brands, which lets them consolidate costs and be way more efficient.
So what we're really seeing here is a company playing offense and defense at the exact same time. The offense is this smart, low-cost global expansion, and the defense is this ruthless, company-wide focus on cutting costs, led by that huge tech saving from their chip. So the question we're left with is this: in the incredibly competitive global EV race, is this sophisticated balancing act going to be enough, not just to survive, but to actually win?